We just drew before the pattern of a body of a tunic, front and back. Now we are going to draw a sleeve pattern for the same tunic. Before we draw the sleeve pattern, we need to take two measurements and do a simple check. To do that, I set the two pieces of a tunic body pattern, the ones we drew in the first video of this first level of the pattern making course, so that the two underarms are in touch while making an horizontal line. Then I draw a line that joins the two tips of the shoulders, back and front, and then I make a mark at the half of that line. From this point, I will measure the distance to reach the underarm point. On my pattern, I find 19.7 cm. This measurement is called armhole height and will be useful for drawing the pattern of a sleeve head. Then I measure horizontally the distance between the back armhole and the front armhole, where this distance is the greatest. This is a simple check because this measurement mustn't exceed or at maximum just equal to 12 cm for a shirt or a dress, always for size 38. After I've done this check and got the armhole height, I start to draw the frame of a sleeve pattern. The frame of a sleeve is a rectangle that has the same height as the arm length. That is to say, 60 cm. Perpendicular to this line of 60 cm, I draw a line at 35 cm from the top of the frame, which is the elbow line. Then I draw another perpendicular at the height of the underarm, located here at 17 cm. Why 17? Because I apply here a proportion by removing 13% out of my armhole height. This proportion is a statistically good value for most classic sleeve heads. If you are not comfortable with the proportions, just multiply the armhole height by 0.87. I'm still missing a measurement to calculate the width of this frame, in which I will draw the sleeve. To obtain this measurement, I have to measure the armhole length at the back and armhole length at the front, holding the tape measure vertically as we've done before. I find here 23.9 cm for the back armhole. Doing it yourself, you can find a slightly different value, but if you find a big difference, there may be a mistake in your pattern. I now measure the front armhole, which may be smaller or equal to that of the back, but should not be longer. Here I find 23.8 cm. You can see that the armholes back and front are not the same length, which is quite normal, and the difference can even be more important. With these two values, I now calculate the width of my sleeve frame. I also apply a proportion calculation by removing 30% of each armhole measurement and get here twice the value of 16.7 cm. Then I draw two lines parallel to my first line of 60 cm and I get my complete frame, which consists of two long rectangles, one for the back of the sleeve and the other for the front of the sleeve. This calculation of proportion is coming from statistic and is well suited for classic sleeves, also called straight-sleeved. To remove 30% from a measurement, simply multiply by 0.7. My complete sleeve frame is therefore 60 cm long and twice 16.7 cm wide, that is to say 33.4 cm. I also draw two other vertical lines in the middle of each long rectangle. These two lines will be useful for drawing the pattern. You can see here how I drew them. I also place 2 marks on these middle lines, one at the front half eye and the other in the back at the upper third. Thanks to these marks, I will easily draw a beautiful sleeve head. I show you now with my finger the curve I'm going to draw. Before drawing this curve, I note the flatness areas, that is to say the portions of curve that must remain flat. The curve must remain flat indeed for 1 cm under the arm in the back to give comfort. There is also 1 cm at the top of the head, back and also front, so it won't not peak or hollow when the sleeve seam crosses the shoulder. With my French curves, I draw a curve that starts from top flatness at the back, goes through the point that I marked on the middle line, and then joins as nicely as possible the flatness of the back underarm. The resulting curve must be harmonious and rather convex at the top. To draw the front armhole, which is of a different shape, I note 2 cm flatness under the arm. This higher value will allow the arm to go forward without being hampered by the sleeve. I have therefore to join the flatness of 1 cm at the top with the intermediate mark located at the half height, and finally the flatness of 2 cm underarm, always getting a curve as harmonious as possible. This is the shape of a classic sleeve head or right sleeve head, and you can notice that the front of this armhole is rather hollow, narrower than the back, which is normal. It needs more fabric indeed in the back at this armhole to be able to push the arm forward without tearing the sleeve. Now I will draw the bottom of this sleeve. In agreement with the drawing of this tunic, the sleeve is gently narrowing until below the elbow and then flares up to the wrist. I choose that the sleeve would go decreasing like a classic sleeve down to 10 cm below the elbow before widening. Usually a classic sleeve does not keep the same width down to the bottom but decreases regularly. To draw this shape, I first make a line 10 cm below the elbow, and then I draw on each side a straight line that will join this line to a point that I place 15 cm from each side of a vertical line. This vertical line is the top of the arm. This value of 50 cm is a value that I decided personally because it seems to me that it matches the aesthetic of this tunic. Since we had a width of 16.7 cm under the arm, the sleeve will therefore slightly narrow down to this line 10 cm below the elbow. Now we just have to draw a straight line on each side to draw the underarm of the sleeve until you reach this line. I'm going now to draw the bottom of this sleeve, which is flared. There are several ways to flare a sleeve bottom. I choose here a simple method that works very well for a slight flare. I would not choose this method for a very wide flare, for example. Here I'm just going to add some width to the bottom of my sleeve. To do this, I first draw the bottom of this sleeve as if I did not want to flare it, simply by extending the 2 lines under the arm. If you don't want to flare this sleeve, you just have to keep this line and check that the wrist length is right for you. To flare my sleeve, I will here add on the bottom line 6 cm on each side. It's a value I've decided to be sufficient for the effect I want to achieve. You can apply another measurement on your pattern, but I advise you to stay below 10 cm. I therefore extend the bottom line of 6 cm on each side . And then I have to connect these points with the line below the elbow. I have to draw this line with my French curves because it would be very ugly to get a peak there. I draw a mark on my French curve to be able to easily draw the same curve on the other side of this sleeve. Since these 2 lines will be sewn together, it's very important that they have the same curve and the same length. Since I draw a curve, I now have a longer sleeve under the arm, which I don't want for this tunic. I have to correct this length to get the same length all around the wrist. To achieve this correction, I measure the length that would have this sleeve if it was a classic one, and I find 15.3 cm between my line under the elbow and the bottom of the sleeve. I then apply this measurement on the curve, and as you can see, it removes also almost 1 cm in length. I then do the same operation on the other side, since I have to get 2 similar curves. Now, I'm just going to connect this point on the curve with my sleeve bottom line, using my French curves, as I don't want any peak there as well. It's very important that I cross my underarm line at 90 degrees to avoid any point or hollow at this level, when these 2 lines will be sewn together. To avoid any mistake, I carefully beef the old line, which is no longer correct. Here, the pattern of a tunic sleeve is now finished. I then note carefully the name of a garment and the name of a piece. We draw the sleeve pattern for the tunic. Now, in the next video, we are going to find out what embellishment we are going to do with our gilt cords and glass beads. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and to follow my website, Anya Camau Academy. Thank you, see you soon!